We will start in 5 minutes. I repeat, 5 minutes.
Last call to use the restroom and make your way to your seats.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take all available seats, and please kindly refrain from holding seats as this event is completely sold out. Thank you for your cooperation and roll dons.
Guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cathedral Catholic High School's Guadalupe Center. At this time, we would like to ask you to please silence all cell phones. For the safety of everyone on stage, please note that taking flash photography and all forms of audio and video recordings are strictly prohibited. Thank you. To ensure a safe exit in the event of an emergency, please take a moment to locate the exit nearest you. Now please, sit back, relax, and enjoy TEDx CCHSYouth.
Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to
TEDx CCHSYouth.
Before we begin, we always start off with prayer. Lead director Mia Fisher and American Sign Language interpreter Alexa Feliciano are both seniors who created the prayer for tonight, A Blessing for Ad Astra.
Mia will now present the prayer accompanied by Alexa. Alexa has taken ASL at Cathedral for the past 4 years. She is also president of the ASL National Honor Society. They hope that through this translation, they will spread awareness for the deaf community as well as broadcast the beauty of American Sign Language. Let's welcome them to stage.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for you. Thank you for every opportunity you give us to nurture our minds, strengthen our relationships, and glorify you. Please bless our speakers and performers with courage, clarity, and confidence. Bless our committee, volunteers, and organizers with wisdom, unity, and gratitude. Lastly, we ask your blessing upon the soul of Alex Polivka, a beloved speaker and TEDx committee member to whom this event is dedicated to. Through his courageous witness of faith, he touched many lives. May your love embrace him and his family. God, as we begin this event, open our eyes, our ears, and our hearts to truly listen to each speaker, extend our gratitude to the campus that we call home, and form meaningful, lasting relationships within the Dawns community. Amen. Saint Joseph, our patron, pray for us. I would now like to introduce a video in memorial of Alex Polivka's life, created by my co-lead student director, Pierce Villar.
I first got to know Alex when he joined Dawns for Life as a sophomore, and it was that year that I just noticed his quiet presence kind of in the back of the room at our meetings. But then in the spring semester of his sophomore year, he gave a TED Talk. And in that TED Talk, his most famous quote was talking about inspiring us to grow closer to God. And then the end of the quote talked about his either miraculous recovery or his death having a purpose.
So, whether my story touches some of you, inspires you to get closer to God, put your trust in God's goodness, then my miraculous recovery or my death have a purpose.
If you haven't had a chance to meet Alex, if you didn't meet him when he was here with us on earth, I would describe him as a living saint. And this is not something that I came up with. This is something that he is universally known for. So many people call Alex Polivka a living saint because that is what he was. And we knew that with how he lived his life, how he carried himself, how he spoke about others, how dedicated he was to his faith, how much he loved Jesus, how close he was with God, and how he inspired everyone around him to grow deeper in their relationship with God, even through little small things like going to the chapel more at school, or being really intentional about going to Mass on the weekends, and overall just offering little moments of holiness in our everyday lives.
I learned how loved I am by my family, my friends, my school, my community, and by my church.
Alex had a very special presence about him. I think one of the strongest feelings I ever felt by being around him is just an ultimate sense of hope that preceded everything he did and everything he said, and every interaction we always had. I left feeling hopeful, and I am forever grateful for that. Alex's impact on Cathedral Catholic is timeless, honestly. I think that he blessed us with a lens from which we understand better perspective. We're more grounded in our faith. We appreciate each other more. And to that, I am forever grateful. We are very fortunate that Alex's influence is ever present here on campus. And as we sit in prayerful thought, I see his presence in my office as he spent a lot of time there, and we really had some deep conversations. I see him sitting in my chairs. I see him interacting with the option students. I see him in just the daily life that we're blessed to have here at Cathedral.
What stood out for me is his kindness to others. He did not let cancer define him. He defined himself with his personality, his kindness, and his eagerness to learn. And he was very helpful with and engaged in class. it was a scary time for him and for all of us. And he came back and he looked so tired and he looked so defeated. And I had asked him quietly if he wanted to go to the nurse's office, that he can do that. And he said, absolutely not. I want to be here and I want to be present. And I wanted to learn. And that was just amazing. It was astonishing that someone that is battling, it's a young man battling cancer, is just not allowing cancer to define him, but he's going to, his faith in God, his faith in, or just his beliefs in God just really helped him have that calmness and to proceed forward and make every day count. And that was amazing. We all saw that through his actions, that his faith was everything. And he would say, God's got me. I'm fine. I can keep on going and keep on going when he was just so frail and he was just in complete battle with the cancer. And that was amazing.
As far as Alex's legacy goes, it's really hard to talk about because Alex was so many things. He was faithful more than most people I know on this earth. He was loving, he was kind, he was funny. So it's really hard to pinpoint his legacy just because he was so many wonderful things. So I'm going to try and talk about his legacy of strength. Alex never let his diagnosis, his pain, his cancer get in the way of him doing the things that he wanted to do. Even the big things, the small things, it didn't matter. He completed every homework assignment. He took every test. He got out of the hospital and he made his way to Cathedral to be crowned homecoming king. He got dressed up with his friends and went to prom, even though his body was in a lot of pain. That kid was just determined to squeeze every bit of life out of the earth while he was here. And I can't help but admire how much strength he had and how much strength he had and how much courage he embodied to embrace every moment of his life.
Knowing Alex changed the way that I think about what really matters in so many ways. He was the most exceptional person I've ever met. He loved fiercely. He loved God, he loved his family, he loved everyone he met in just this deep, passionate, fierce way. And after spending a lot of time with him the last couple of years, I try to live every day like he did, just loving God in all of the things, the good, the bad, the hard. I mean, his hardest days, we can't even understand what he was going through. And on my hardest days, I try to just listen to what he would say. How do I want to live today? I want to live in the now, in the present, in the light, with the Holy Spirit in everything that I do. And so I try to just take those moments that we had together and live my life in a more meaningful way in the little things, not just the big things, not just the big, grand, adventurous things, but the little, the everyday. He really loved everybody and everything, and I truly want to take that with me in life.
From Alex's life, I think we all can learn to just really see the gift of life, to see the good in absolutely everything that we live and do, especially all the hardships. Like me personally, in all of my struggles and problems, Alex showed me to always find a way to just see the good in it and just see it as a gift rather than a burden.
When it came to facing adversity, I think Alex is the strongest I knew. He always had faith in God's plan, and when things just seemed to get worse, he always somehow rose up strong. I always try to bring this into my life. Whenever things got dark and grim, I knew I could rise above no matter the turnout or no matter the situation.
I think it's important that TEDx CCHS 2026 is dedicated to Alex Polifka because he taught so many of us so many different things. He taught us faith over fear. I wear his bracelet every single day, and I know so many other people do too. And his TED Talk was truly amazing, so if you haven't watched it, go watch it. And yeah.
Alex unintentionally taught me to just appreciate the little things and slow down. I feel like always in my life and people around me, we're always rushing and looking towards the next thing. But sometimes we just need to sit down, see who we're with, and see where we are. Just appreciate that. I feel like Alex really dealt that.
Alex, if I could say anything to you right now, and I think everyone would agree with me, it would just be thank you. Thank you for giving me another outlook on life. Thank you for being a friend and a best friend and a brother at that. And thank you for teaching me faith over fear. We all miss you so much, and there's not a day that goes by without me thinking about you. Thank you for being a brother and a friend. Love you, bro.
Beautiful video. Now, please help me welcome the founder and lead organizer of TEDx CCHSYouth, Mrs. Natalia Fiore.
And our co-lead assistant organizer, Mr. Aaron Martinez, who unfortunately could not be here tonight.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 4th annual TEDx CCHSYouth. This year, we've made 2 big changes. One, we're proud to present for the first time ever true TEDx performances, pieces conceived, written, and created by students, specifically for this event. Like TED Talks, these works share ideas through creativity, innovation, and storytelling. And 2, tonight's 2-hour program will run straight through, followed by a connection time reception where you can meet and congratulate our speakers, artists, performers, and committee members while enjoying appetizers, drinks, and desserts. Thank you all for supporting student voices, creative expression, and the students' passion to use their gifts to change the world. Enjoy the event.
Wow, thank you so much, Nicole, for making that animation. She spent 3 months on it, as well as Frank Zhang for making the music. It sets the perfect tone for what's in store for tonight.
Now for some more formal introduction. My name is Jack.
I'm Karina.
And we have the absolute honor of being your host this evening.
A few quick notes before we get started.
Please silence your phones to keep distractions at a minimum.
Our speakers and performers put in so much effort and time into their work, so when they finish, make sure to clap and cheer as loud as you can.
How about we do an example? And that, my friends, is why the Padres are the best baseball team.
Woo!
Maybe a little too much energy for the Padres.
Yeah, let's save that energy for the actual stars of the show. Another quick note, the audience must stay silent throughout the entirety of the event, or else our audio crew will pick up even the smallest sounds, which may ruin the recordings.
Please stay seated throughout the entire event. Step out in between speakers if necessary. In the spirit of Ad Astra, let us create a room where every speaker has the highest chance of reaching their potential. The event is 2 hours long and there'll be no intermissions, so get comfortable.
Before we begin, let's take out our phones really quickly. Really quickly. I want to see
take
those
'em out,
phones out.
take
Let's
'em
see
out.
those phones out. Now, please scan the QR code above to follow at TEDx CCHS on Instagram. Yeah. I better see those thumbs flying, pressing the follow button. This account is where all the professional quality photos and videos from tonight will be posted. Now, are we all good? Do we all follow? Can I get a yes?
Are we ready to begin? Oh, okay. I think we can do a lot better. I said, are we ready to begin?
Our first speaker, Leila Ridgway, is a sophomore who grew up with frequent dad jokes and a family that embraces laughter.
She was inspired to write her talk on her biggest superpower, making people laugh. So please join us in welcoming our first speaker of the night, Leila Ridgway.
Before we start, I need to ask a very serious question. Why did the chicken cross the road? No, don't answer yet. This question holds a lot more importance than you may think. Because right now, half of you are confident you know the answer. The other half worried how to make their answer sound more seasoned. Someone in the back is probably thinking, is this a trick question? And one person is wondering whether or not they'll be judged for even putting an answer out there. You see, this is the issue with this simple joke. It's not about the chicken, it's about the pressure. The pressure of being the first one to step up to use their voice. The pressure of being funny, or the pressure of realizing you may just not be funny. Sorry. Because when you say to get to the other side, you're boring everyone. When you choose to say something clever, now you have expectations. How's the class clown? Ooh, scary. So the chicken didn't just cross the road. It took a risk. And statistically speaking right now, the chicken is making a lot more progress than most of us. Today, I'm going to attempt something bold, convincing you that anyone in this room can use humor to maintain a positive perspective when life seems daunting or stressful. And it all comes down to 3 simple things: awareness, perspective, and transferability. Because if there's one thing a comedian loves more than laughter, it's the power of 3. Humor is the skill of noticing our surroundings, adjusting our lens, and responding with courage. And when you do, you have the ability to turn any awkward silence into a shared laughter. The first step to humor is noticing. And no, I'm not talking about noticing that one teacher who somehow debuts a new bougie outfit every Monday when I've worn the same hoodie since Wednesday. I'm talking about noticing the small absurdities everyone tends to ignore and overlook. Like the moment a teacher announces a homework assignment, and suddenly every single iPad in the room mysteriously dies at exactly the same time. Like they planned on it. Like there's a separate group chat we don't know about. Why am I not in that? Or at lunch, when an unfamiliar face waves, you wave back, only to realize they were waving at the person behind you the entire time. Awkward. Now, I want you to raise your hand if something embarrassing like this has happened to you before. And keep your hand raised if after that moment you decided to completely ignore it and carry on with your life. Well, I have good news, because these small, awkward, embarrassing moments are what I like to call comedy gold. Things to be embraced, not erased. And before anyone even attempts to make fun of that silly phrase, turns out noticing the unexpected is actually the whole skill. So all those times you've been quietly watching your friends mess up the same TikTok dance 41 times, or whenever you dramatically overreact to a homework assignment, that's you being totally weird, that's you being funny. Now, I want you to imagine this: a shiny white Mazda, freshly washed, not a scratch in sight. In the driver's seat sits your 15-year-old sister, your dad by your side, coaching her how to drive your older brother's car for the very first time. Now, all she has to do is idle forward to park behind her other brother's car. Thank God he was away at college. How hard can it possibly be? Well, clearly a little too hard for Leila. Because in an attempt to lightly press on the brakes, she slams on the gas pedal. 30 miles per hour with no sign of any stop. Well, that girl is me, and despite nearly killing my father, my brother, and totaling half of my family's driving fleet in under 30 seconds, my dad responded, not with anger, but with humor. In what could have been a very traumatic experience for me, possibly resulting in permanently banning myself from ever driving again, became a learning moment, diffused by my father's funny question. After lunging over to slam the car into park, he simply asked me, "How do you even manage to do that, Evel Knievel?" Like, who even is that? Well, while I may not know the difference between the gas and brake pedal, even though the state of California technically gave me my permit, my dad's nervous laughter taught me more about perspective than any lesson in school ever could. He taught me that a positive perspective is what truly makes the best and funniest people. And in a situation where my life flashed before my eyes, my dad's witty response turned my hysterical crying into hysterical laughter. Learning to see scenarios from the right perspective can turn life-altering mistakes into lessons, panic into punchlines, or at least make you laugh while nearly destroying your family's only source of transportation. Sorry, Dad. So here's what I figured out. Humor isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you can give to someone else. When my dad made that joke in the car after my tragic accident, he wasn't performing for me. He was simply handing me a way out of the panic I was already in. He gave me permission to stop hysterically crying for 10 seconds, and although extremely difficult, I took it. That is exactly what humor is when it actually matters. Not a punchline, a choice you make for someone else. With that being said, I want you to turn to the person sitting next to you. Tell them your favorite joke, the weirder the better. Ready? Go. I gave you 10 seconds to tell a terrible joke, and you decided that was enough to make the person sitting next to you laugh. Well, hopefully they laughed, or else that would have been pretty embarrassing. That joke wasn't just a punchline. That was a choice, and that's the whole talk. So the next time something goes wrong, and trust me, something definitely will go wrong, I would know, you have a choice. You can pretend like nothing happened and find your phone very suddenly fascinating, or you can point at it, find what's funny, and hand that to the person next to you. So why did the chicken cross the road? Maybe because he thought the other side was scary. But like Evel Knievel, he decided to cross anyway. So when life puts you at the edge of that road, be the chicken. Find what's funny and hand that to the person next to you. Because humor isn't just about how you end up crossing the road. It's about how you make it easier for the people around you crossing with you. That's not a punchline. That's a pretty awesome life skill. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila. Now that's a way to kick off the event.
If the rest of the night is like that, we're in for a very special evening.
Our next speaker, Schalch, is a sophomore who is very passionate about long-term investing and financial education.
He was inspired to write his talk after he learned the importance that time has in creating wealth and how rarely these fundamentals are taught in school. Let's welcome Lucas.
In a documented physics experiment, a single domino was shown to knock over another domino 50% larger than itself. When you repeat this pattern, by the 30th domino, it would be long enough to topple the Empire State Building. The small but mighty power of this plastic tile encapsulates how compounding growth works. Now, what if I told you that money can grow the same way? When I first learned this, it completely changed how I thought about investing. It made me realize that wealth is not a question of luck or starting big, but about small decisions repeated consistently, which become powerful. Hi, my name is Lucas. Over the past few years, I've studied finance independently through several programs, built my own portfolio, founded my school's finance club, as well as a nonprofit organization, teaching the very ideas I'm about to share with you today to younger students across my community. All of my experiences have led me to the same conclusion. As a student, you don't need to be an economist or a Wall Street professional to understand wealth. You just need to understand time. You see, in finance, time is the greatest multiplier. It is said that Einstein once called compounding the 8th wonder of the world. So what does compounding mean in investing? Well, compounding is the process where an investment earns returns on its returns. Let's look at stocks. Say you invest $10,000 at a 10% return, which happens to be the market's average annual return rate. Over 10 years, that eventually becomes roughly $26,000. But over 40 years, that same initial investment grows to over $450,000. Time rewards discipline more than it rewards brilliance. I actually remember the moment when this idea first sparked my interest. This was me in the 6th grade, when I first picked up a book called The Early Investor. At the moment, this was mostly out of curiosity, but one idea in the book kept pulling back my attention. It showed how two people investing the exact same way could end up with completely different results, simply because one started earlier. I remember 6th grade me sitting there, rereading the page and thinking, wait, that's it? It felt like I had an unfair advantage. The younger you start, the more powerful time seems to become. That idea stuck with me. Before long, I asked my mom if she could help me open an investment account to start building a small portfolio. But I quickly realized something else. What the market looked like in the books and what it felt like in real life were two completely different things. Seeing my first stock dip, the only thing I could think was, man, my mom is going to kill me. And when you zoom in on a 1-year chart, the market really does look chaotic. Prices jump up and down, sometimes violently. If this is all you ever see, investing might even look like gambling. And I don't know about you, but that's not how I want to plan my future. Zooming out, however, there has never been a 20-year period where the US stock market has ended with a negative return. Never. And you don't need to be an expert to benefit from this. Time does more for the average investor than prediction ever will. When you're playing the long game, you stop worrying about the market every day and start checking your vision for the future. That's when investing stops feeling intimidating, starts feeling empowering. Raise your hand if you've ever had to memorize the Pythagorean theorem in high school. Now, raise your hand if you've ever been taught how to invest in high school. We spend years learning how to solve equations, memorize formulas, and recall dates. But almost no time is spent learning the simple principles behind building wealth. Nationally, progress has been made. About 30 states now require some form of personal finance education. But the focus is almost entirely on short-term survival, like budgeting, credit scores, and avoiding scams. Don't get me wrong, those are all important. But when you zoom in on investing, that number of states shrinks to only 12. The question becomes, are students being taught how to manage their money just for today or how to build wealth for tomorrow? Time is the one advantage every student has. Yet, when investing isn't taught, that advantage begins to fade. But this problem is not unsolvable. I've seen what works firsthand through my nonprofit organization, the Foundations of Finance Project. In one lesson with 6th graders, we used candy as currency and gave the students a choice. Either spend their candy in a shop we set up or save it. Now, what we didn't tell them is that if they saved their candy would actually multiply. After the students had made their choices, one of them looked up and said, "So if I just wait, I get extra candy?" And that's when it hit me. Without any complex formulas or financial jargon, the students had picked up on something. That choosing patience over impulse is what allows money to grow over time. The point isn't that kids are trading candy stock. It's that when these ideas are taught early and clearly, time becomes an advantage instead of a missed opportunity. Not every student will be fortunate enough to be taught investing in school, but that does not mean you have to wait. Take initiative. Start by learning the basics. For me, it was through books like The Early Investor. Then, open an account, with a parent if you're younger. Finally, start small, invest consistently in something broad, and let it sit. You don't need a massive fortune to topple the Empire State Building. So start by tipping the first domino today. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. Because personally, my only investment strategy is buying snacks at lunch.
Now that Jack has revealed his very advanced investing strategy, let's switch gears.
Ouch. Anyways, up until now, you've heard powerful talks. But TEDx is about storytelling in many different forms. Our next speaker is actually a poem.
Bria Patt is a junior who grew up looking up to her older sister and is deeply passionate about her family.
Her reflections on growing up together in sisterhood inspired her to write this poem. So please join Bria.
Glowing, glimmering, wherever she walks, attracting eyes latch on to whichever path she crosses. Soft skin as clear as glass, A+ grades. Is there more that one can ask? In my eyes, her brilliance shines so clear. My perfect sister, whom I both admire and revere. With her perfect pin straight hair, her perfect clothes that she likes to wear, she's a star, the spotlight. Every room that silence speaks, every door that starts to creak reveals the captivating scene that trails behind her as she proceeds. One can't help but notice the wandering eyes traveling to their sole destination, her. Venus, Earth, and Saturn all orbit around the sun. She is the sun. I am the moon, the shadow, treading softly in her footsteps, her perfectly laid out footsteps. Each step delicately placed, trying to follow her path, I race, I'm outpaced. Despite my proximity to the sun, the effect is not a promising one. The light will never shine on me enough so I can finally gleam. Set in an orbit, 365 days a year, my mind unable to break free from my obsession, my fear. The fear that burns inside me that it will never be enough. So I follow closely to my perfect sister, a sparkly diamond among the rough, always moving, traveling, yet no closer to the sun. Her movements out of reach. My legs burn with chasing footsteps that will never match her run, twirling and leaping along the dance floor, in the studio we'd grown up in since younger than 4. Trailing 2 steps behind, I fall into an eclipse, a veil of dust in my achievements, outshined by her preeminence. Magnificent pirouettes inducing audiences amaze. I sulked in the shadows and envied her praise. A dancer's body, so graceful, so lithe, I critiqued my own frame, wishing mine matched her blithe. I yearn for my chance to form a solar eclipse. Unnoticed, I start to purse my lips. It seems as though every gaze drifts beyond me. Is her shadow all that I'm destined to be? Everyone always pays attention to the sun. Why is it I feel I'm the only one? Although the earth is closer to me, she still yearns to pick the better sibling. Feeling unwanted, hopeless, I could cry a river, but that still would not deliver my true desire of being like her, my perfect sister. Contemplating the sun hit me just this once that the abundance of planets are not all like one. Venus is not like Saturn, and Saturn not like I. That's what makes us so unique. So why do I cry? I spent so much time pretending to be someone I'm not. Fake it till you make it, but I'm done with that thought. The moon tried her best to gleam beside the sun, for she wanted to be noticed, like a prize to be won. 17 years for the moon to emerge after past light, hoping and waiting that one day she might gleam bright. Over time, she grew more and more comfortable in her skin, wishing less and less that she was a copy of her kin. She pondered why she was still trying to shine while it was light, for the moon shines its brightest in the dark of the night. A star among the planets I once wished for me, but being unique among the rest is what I now strive to be. Not a version of my sister, not a copy of a rest. The moon found her own spotlight, one special, one she likes best. An abundance of planets, so many I can be, so why copy another when I can just be me?
Wow, Bria, that was beautiful.
That poem was so good. I forgot we're emceeing and not sitting in the audience crying.
Karina, we need to keep together. Professionalism.
You're right, let me lock in. Okay, our next speaker is a uni alum, an art educator with over 15 years of experience, a creative entrepreneur, and a 2-time author.
Her talk is about creativity as it relates to confidence, mindfulness, and the unexpected lessons she's learned from her dog. Please welcome the one and only Katie O'Brien.
Woo!
Last summer, I made a decision that completely changed my life. It was exhausting, it was expensive, but also very fulfilling. I adopted a puppy from Helen Woodward, and her name is Dory. And if you've ever raised a puppy, you know it's not just cute, it quietly takes over your entire life. I was suddenly outside at 6 a.m. in my pajamas, negotiating with a tiny furry boss about when and where she was willing to go potty. Very quickly, my routine became her routine. And then on our walks, I started to notice something. Dory was unapologetically present, stopping to smell the roses, literally. And standing there, leash in hand, it hit me. Presence isn't something we learn, it's something we remember. I could be walking Dory in the sunshine and still not completely be there because my attention was on my phone. When my mind got busy or uncomfortable, I did what most of us do. I reached for a screen, not for information, but for distraction. Quick question, how many of you have caught yourself walking around in your daily life just staring at your phone? Exactly. Walking Dory interrupted that habit for me. And when I put my phone down and saw the world in front of me, creative inspiration showed up. And that's what my talk is about. Presence is the gateway to creativity. I was raised in San Diego, and I'm an alum of Uni High School, or as you may know it now, Cathedral. As a kid, I looked confident on the outside, but I often held back. My room was my happy place. I wrote, I drew, and I created. No smartphones, just imagination. And over time, something shifted in me. My confidence didn't grow from praise, it came from finishing creative projects. And that inner creative pull shaped my life's path. From performing speed paintings at Disneyland, to writing and publishing my first book, to opening an online shop selling educational paint kits, to being an art teacher for over 15 years. Today, I am proud to call myself a Falcon at Torrey Pines High School. But let's be honest, once a Dawn, always a Dawn. And what I've learned is this: art isn't just creativity, it's mindfulness in motion. One of the most direct ways we can access the present moment is through meditation, by quieting those fears and letting it flow. Creative practice offers a similar doorway into this presence. When we create, our fear quiets, flow begins, and our inner world starts to align. We become fully conscious. And this, my friends, is powerful. As my favorite author, Eckhart Tolle, states, the quality of your consciousness at this moment is what shapes the future. Now, what's happening here is powerful. When we're constantly on our phones, our attention remains fragmented. Our brain remains in this fast alert state, always reacting, never settling. But when we create, a shift happens. We move out of that constant mental noise and into a deeply integrated creative state. But we're filled in a world full of distraction. We consume more than we create, and the more we scroll, the worse we feel. What should be happening instead is a state of internal coherence, and creativity brings us into coherence. This is when our thoughts, emotions, and actions align with who we want to be. It's when life feels more intentional and less scattered. And it doesn't have to be just drawing or painting. Creativity is simply choosing to produce instead of consume. It's not about talent, it's about agency, being an active participant in your life, not a spectator, not a follower. Every time you create without judgment, your brain gets a subconscious message. I am capable, I trust myself, and the present moment feels right. And all of this brings me back to Dory and those mindful walks away from my phone created space for unexpected inspiration, a children's book. I took our daily walks and turned them into illustrations, and those hours of work became my meditation. The book teaches children mindfulness and positivity and invites them to create, teaching them early on that their power lies in their presence. So, here is my challenge to all of you. Tomorrow, instead of scroll, create something. Cook that recipe you pinned, build that project you watched, make that art you admired. Let the inspiration move your hands, not just your thumbs. Your life needs your presence. Be the artist of your life. There is not one other person out there with your unique skills and spirit, so own it. And if you ever forget how to be present, just follow the dog. Dory! Come here! Thank you. Woo!
Thank you, Mrs. O'Brien, and your dog, Dory. That was such an insightful talk.
Honestly, I'm feeling more creative already. I think I might actually draw something later.
Jack, if you start making art, people are going to run for the exits.
Fair enough.
Get ready, because stepping up to base is Mileva Sesepasara. She's a sophomore who's playing softball ever since she was 10 years old.
She was inspired to write her talk when she realized the low standards, negative words, and stereotypes set for women in sports. Let's welcome Mileva.
Woo!
Crack of a bat meeting a fastball, the kind of sound that sparked a moment of silence. I remember a player standing in the batter's box, hands held high. She wore number 18 on her jersey, same number since she was 10, and had her hair in 2 bubble braids with a pink bow tied to the top. She was battling with every pitch to keep her at-bat alive. Just then, the words, "Swing like you mean it. Are you even trying? You're playing like a girl," came from the stands. The message was clear, and everyone understood what they meant. The very next pitch, the ball was sent straight to the fence. Something about her determination shifted. That player was me. And that day, I wasn't trying to prove that I wasn't a girl. I was playing exactly like one. Hi, I'm Mileva Sesepasara, and today I will be speaking about the most misunderstood compliment in today's society, the phrase, playing like a girl. I will explain how it is offensive, degrading, and should be looked at from a different perspective. Doing something like a girl shouldn't be seen as weak or an insult. It is a redefinition of one's strength. You play like a girl, you throw like a girl, you run like a girl. Maybe some of you have heard things like this before. Maybe not on a field, but in a group chat, on a stage, or in a classroom. People say it as if being a girl is something to be ashamed of. Being a girl can mean so many things. So of course I play like a girl. That's who I am. Teaching people to redefine this idea of being a girl means being weak will further restore the confidence of girls everywhere. It took so long for women to be accepted into the sports industry, so why are we still being disregarded? For example, the women started playing baseball in the 1860s, but weren't globally accepted into professional leagues until the 1940s, decades after men were given this opportunity. Even with the influence of women's sports on the rise, these negative stereotypes are further discrediting and destroying the potential of women athletes. Furthermore, a study from the Women's Sports Foundation shows that 36% of girls have never played sports compared that 46% of girls have never played sports compared to only 36% of boys, while 36% of girls currently play sports compared to 46% of boys. This leads to the fact that 32% of parents endorse belief that boys are better at sports than girls. These statistics aren't just numbers. They are the hundreds of girls who will never understand how strong they truly are because society has played such a detrimental role in downplaying the strength of girls that even parents are feeding into the stereotypes for their own daughters. This is my dad, who has taught my sister and I everything we know about softball. He was the one to hit his ground balls until our gloves are broken in, the one to throw his front toss until the sun went down, and the one to yell at us after our bad games. He grew up playing baseball, so at times it felt like he was more passionate about playing than I was. But of course, he still made sure to teach me everything he knew about the game. Because of him, my sister and I have become greatly successful in the softball world. Do you think he still looks at his daughters and wishes he had sons because boys are better? No. He ignores these stereotypes and focuses on the success of who his daughters have become, not what they could have been. Many of us here have probably stayed up late after practice to finish homework or has done a drill over and over again until we've perfected it. Now, imagine despite all of this, you're still being disregarded because of something that is natural and uncontrollable, your gender. In an interview with Jen Kish, an Olympic rugby player, she states that there is nothing a girl can't do that a boy can do, and maybe even better. Kish grew up in a very masculine environment, hearing the phrase, playing like a girl, often, and not in an admiring way. Yet, she has stood on an Olympic podium. If she is able to redefine these words on a professional stage, why shouldn't I be able to? Except I'm not. I'm not on this professional stage. I'm sitting in my room, staring at the ceiling, replaying these words. Replaying them after a late practice where my body is weak and my head is aching as these words remind me that I'm not good enough. I don't play hard enough, I don't throw hard enough, and I don't run fast enough. When will I ever be enough? And why should I care? Why should I have to prove myself? But I've realized that I don't have to prove myself. It is only up to me to redefine these words, not only in my mind, but on the softball field, to change the minds of those in the stands. The words we use shape the limits we believe in. An old Samoan saying my dad taught me, "E pala ma'a aele pala upu," which means stones may wither, but words last forever. These negative words and stereotypes are teaching girls to doubt their strength and calls for everyone else to underestimate it. Redefining these words isn't just about sports. It's about making sure the future generations of girls know that their intensity and ambition are going to be expected, not overlooked. So, girls, the next time you hear, like a girl, don't argue, don't rush to defend yourself, and don't correct them. Instead, embrace it and show them exactly what it means to be a girl. But this isn't just up to the girls to redefine these words. Coaches, teammates, players, teachers, correct this language. These stereotypes won't change if we ignore them. They will only begin to fade if we confront them. And when all of society decides that being a girl means being a strength instead of a weakness, we are redefining the narrative. Redefine the words, challenge the stereotypes, set a new standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mileva. That was such a powerful talk about women in sports.
Yeah, I run track, and after hearing that, I think I need to step up my game.
Good idea. Maybe start running like a girl.
Thanks.
Our next speaker, Sophia Barba, is a freshman who learned that life can reshape your plans after being diagnosed with severe scoliosis at the age of 11.
She was inspired to write her talk through her experience of redefining her best. Let's welcome to the stage, Sophia.
I want you to imagine an 11-year-old girl's room. The door is slightly ajar, and from the hallway, you can see her bed, lined with lovingly placed stuffed animals, and her white desk covered with half-finished drawings and piles of books. The afternoon sunlight spills across the oak floor, and there she is, sitting on her bed, staring at a piece of paper in her hands. That girl, me. And the paper, my X-ray. My spine, curved into the unmistakable shape of an S. Coming home from the doctor's office that day, I was shocked, flabbergasted, but most of all, uncertain. I had just been diagnosed with severe scoliosis, and the doctor had told me that I would need major surgery to correct it. I was filled with fear, but the question I couldn't shake was, will I still be able to dance? I'd been dancing since I was 6 years old. And now I was left wondering when the next time I would get to step onto the stage was. I'd been dancing through back pain for months, but I never had a name for it. Now I had a diagnosis, severe scoliosis. Dancing had been the center of my life, my relationships, and my identity. Most of my friends were made through dance, but that didn't last for long after I was on the sidelines cheering for them as I'm on the stage dancing with them. That surgery wouldn't just change my body. It would change how I danced, how I moved, and even how I saw myself. If I wasn't a dancer anymore, then who was I? Now, maybe you haven't had spinal surgery, but perhaps you felt that moment before. The feeling of losing something that was once a core part of your identity and of how you saw yourself. Parents, who are you when your last child goes off to college? Teachers, do you know yourself apart from the classroom and your students? Losing a loved one, not getting the role or the spot you had worked so hard for, or a season-ending injury. These are the moments when we have to ask, who am I when I can't be who I expected myself to be? When I came back to dance, months after surgery, my body felt different. I was stiff, awkward, and angry about everything I couldn't do anymore. My center of gravity was completely thrown off, and I lost all flexibility in my back. I also felt like I had lost some aspect of the friendships I had with my teammates. I found myself coming home tired after dance and crying into my pillow, grieving the version of myself I had lost. I remember being backstage at a theater in San Diego, watching my friends perform in our first competition of the season. The stage lights were blinding, my team was performing, but I was alone, in the shadow of the wings, wishing I was out there with them. I felt incapable, but in that moment, I realized something. While I couldn't dance the way I used to, I could discover movement in new ways, and each small step mattered. Redefining your best is what comes next. Pivoting. And in that process, we will find a version of ourselves that we didn't know existed. Surprisingly, I found myself discovering surfing. When I decided to try surfing for the first time after surgery, I had to learn patience all over again. The ocean was freezing, and I kept falling off my board. To be honest, I still often do. I wondered if I'd ever actually catch a real wave. But each time I was able to catch even a small one, standing upright for a few seconds, I felt proud. Progress wasn't flawless, but it was real. What made this possible is something scientists call neuroplasticity. It is our brain's ability to form new connections and adapt after challenges. Each attempt literally rewires your brain, creating new pathways to move, learn, and grow. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about redefining your best. It's about the small steps, even on the days when you can't find the strength or the motivation. Each act of effort is a choice to define what your best looks like right now. For me, this was trying to reclaim movement in ways other than dance. Each act of effort is a choice to define what your best looks like. Winston Churchill once said, "Perfection is the enemy of progress." The goal isn't perfection. It's strength, patience, and courage. Each act is proof that you're moving forward on your own terms. Sometimes I think about that girl, the one sitting on her bed, terrified of losing who she was, and I wish I could tell her this: you are going to grow into a new version of yourself, and she is stronger than you think. Now, I challenge you. Ask yourself, what does my best look like today? Maybe it's slower, simpler, quieter, but that's enough. That's courage, and that's grace. Each time we do this, we honor our own paths, and we practice the kind of resilience that lasts, not just in big moments, but in everyday life. That's how we keep dancing, surfing, or just simply moving forward through life. And maybe when we look back on the journey, we will realize that the version of ourselves we found and the best we created are stronger and more capable than we ever imagined. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Her journey shows us how challenges can reshape us in the best ways.
Meanwhile, my biggest challenge has been trying to find 2 matching socks for this event.
And yet here you are.
And I'm thriving.
Woo. Before we continue, let's shift into something a little bit more upbeat. Everybody stay in your seats. Trust me.
Karina's right. You'll want to see this. Up next is our music and dance performance.
Bianca Santamaro and Sydney Benkler are both captains of the dance team here at Cathedral, joined by varsity members Leila Lee and Kylie Kaminsky.
Our dancers choreographed the dance to music written by student Annie Verkozy and performed by student ensemble.
Before our performers come on stage, let's go behind the scenes.
My name is Annie Verkozy, and I'm a senior. I am this year's TEDx Performance Director, and I've been composing on and off for about 4 years. What inspired me to compose this world music medley was my time performing as a jazz pianist in a world music ensemble in Spain and learning about the musical traditions from all the people I met there. I felt compelled to write an original composition for TEDx since I was a TEDx speaker last year, and I wanted to continue to share my ideas with the community. I'm trying to express through music that people can enjoy music that they're not used to, and people can have voices in traditions that they're not necessarily familiar with. Composing the ending was both the most exciting and challenging part of it for me, because it meant that I had to end a month-long project, but that it was exciting for me because it made me really reflect on what it meant for me.
My name is Caleb Gazal, and I'm a senior, and I play the trumpet.
I think one thing in particular was experimenting around with different mutes to change the style of my trumpet. That would also kind of help balance out the sounds, and we could also test on the fly different methods from Annie's piece. I hope that people take away that when you put together a couple of people and ideas, you can really start to see a passionate result, and the fruits of your labor will really come forth. And with anything that you really enjoy, just getting those heads together and putting that together is memorable, not only to do it by yourself, but with other people.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Solstein. I'm in 11th grade and I play the cello. There's this one moment in measures 44 and 45 where the rhythm is quite tricky, and I had to spend a lot of work really making sure I had it right. And I actually did this one practice where you assign words that match the rhythm, and you kind of have that like in your head while you play it. And then also overall, there was a lot of times where I had to come in and it would be just a cello, or someone else would come in and I'm resting. And this was just really hard, but it's part of what gave the piece its character, was some parts were together, some parts were not.
Wow, the talent on this stage tonight is unreal.
Yeah, I tried dancing once and it did not look like that.
That's why we're your hosts. A special thank you to the varsity dance team, Miss Swift, and her students for this amazing performance.
Our next speaker, Wesley Us, is a junior who comes from a military family and plans to continue their legacy by pursuing aerospace engineering through ROTC.
He was inspired to write his talk after realizing the common myths related to serving and how many are unaware of the benefits. Please welcome Wesley Us.
I'm sure many of you use or hear your children using the teenage slang going around today. Words like low-key, bet, or bruh. Well, in my family, those words don't get laughs, they get push-ups. If my brothers or I slip up, it's 20 push-ups on the spot. We'll be mid-conversation, my dad storms in like a drill instructor shouting, "Drop and give me 20!" As you can guess, I come from a family forged by the sea. My dad served in the Navy for over 20 years, first as a submariner and then as a surgeon. My uncle was part of the Navy's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit. My grandpa is a Navy veteran of the Vietnam War. Following my family's footsteps, I've always been determined to join the military ever since I was a little kid. Over the past 3 years, I've had many conversations with friends regarding military service, and there's almost always been a clear disregard for the military as a career. I began to notice a couple of mistruths that I kept hearing. The military is too dangerous, it doesn't pay enough, and it isn't a fun career choice. But growing up in a military family, I knew those statements were false. I began to wonder, why was my view of the military so different? What was causing so many people to view the military this way? But most importantly, what can I do to share the perspective I gained from my family's experiences? So here I am today, to clarify misconceptions about the military and explain the opportunities it presents. A couple years ago, I was hanging out with a neighborhood friend named Luke. We were jogging up my street to fetch some Subway sandwiches when we brought up our future career goals. I remember asking him, "Have you ever considered joining the military?" And his exact response was, "Nah, I don't want to die." This is the most common myth that I have heard. Many Americans, including Luke, assume the military is extremely dangerous and that almost all jobs involve combat-related tasks. But this isn't true. In reality, only about 10% of military jobs involve regular combat, while the other 90% do not. In fact, the new branch of the military, Space Force, is almost entirely non-combatant, with roles primarily being engineers, operators, and technicians, allowing members of the U.S. military to reach for the stars. The military opens the door for countless different careers, but what if I told you it can also provide financial stability? The second myth is that military pay is less than civilian pay. One day I was having a conversation with one of my peers in English class about my determination to join the military. He said, "You're going to a private school just to make as much money as a McDonald's employee?" At first, I believed him. However, upon doing some further research, I found that he was far from correct. The U.S. Department of Defense recorded that in 2025, regular military compensation, or RMC, for the average officer was about 75% higher than the average civilian wage with similar education. RMC encompasses basic pay, as well as allowances for housing and other subsistence. To put this further into perspective, the average annual income for a civilian with a bachelor's degree in 2025 was $91,000, while the average military officer with the same degree would make $160,000 in income and compensation. Now, by a raise of hands, who here thinks joining the military would be any fun? Not many hands. This leads me to the third and final myth. Many people, including yourselves, assume the military is all discipline and no fun. However, I watched my father enjoy his military career. In his first year of joining, my dad flew planes, shot machine guns, and practiced firefighting. Later on, he had the opportunity to use underwater jetpacks, practice his American Ninja Warrior training skills, and go deep sea diving, even though he was in the medical field. In addition, active duty members can also travel the world and live in many different countries. My family was stationed in Yokosuka, Japan for 3 years, where I was surrounded by things most people only see in photos: Japanese temples, cherry blossoms, and Mount Fuji. I spent my elementary school years exploring a culture completely different from my own. I had the amazing opportunity to model in different cities around Japan, and it was even on the cover of a magazine. I spent weekends at sushi ground spots, grabbing plates off moving conveyor belts, and at night visited 7-Eleven stores with surprisingly great food. All this goes to show that the military offers much more than strict life and discipline. Now that I've clarified some major myths about the military, I want to share with you some opportunities it can provide. The Reserve Officers Training Corps, or ROTC, offers members a full ride or partial scholarship while attending college and a job right after graduation. In exchange, students must serve 4 years in the military, as well as take extra classes and physical training courses during college. The military also teaches unique skills that can be applied to other careers in everyday life. Recently, I had the opportunity to interview Jeff Janicek, the CEO and founder of InnoFlight, a company specializing in secure, high-performance space electronics and satellites. He joined the Air Force through ROTC, where he developed leadership, problem-solving, and decision-making skills that later helped him start and run an extremely successful company without ever earning a business degree. Mr. Janicek said, "The Air Force taught me a lot about starting a company, especially a company that did work for the US government." His story shows that the military doesn't limit your future. Instead, it prepares you for it. Because of the myths and a lack of knowledge about what the military has to offer, countless individuals are discouraged from ever even considering service, disregarding opportunities to achieve their dream job, serve a purposeful life, and serve their country. Opportunity, purpose, and service down the drain. And it's not just a personal loss, as military applicants reached a 40-year low in 2022. If we keep spreading these myths, we aren't just hurting potential recruits, we're hurting our nation's defense. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you hear someone say the military is dangerous, let them know it doesn't have to be. Or if anyone you know is thinking about joining the military, support them. I hope I opened your mind about the military today. Or, if anything, convinced you to make your kids do some push-ups when they step out of line. Thank you for your time.
Wow, that talk was low-key kind of sick, bro.
Was that slang I just heard? Did you guys hear that too? All right, Jack, I think you gotta give us push-ups now. Come on, let's hype him up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, let's give it for Jack. Ooh, that form needs a little bit of work, but let's move on. Our next speaker brings a totally different kind of hustle. Parker Gallagher is a sophomore who balances school with a part-time job.
His experience working at a young age inspired him to write this talk. Let's welcome Parker into the spotlight.
Woo!
Adults, raise your hands if you had a job when you were in high school. Now, teenagers, raise your hands if you are in high school and you currently have a job. Wow, look at how many more adults had a job when they were in high school compared to teens today. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics found that over the past 50 years, the amount of teens participating in the workforce has dropped over 25%. Getting a job is like a compass. Once you pick it up, it guides you in the right direction, and you get closer to your destination throughout the journey. Hi, I'm Parker Gallagher. I'm 16 years old, and I come from a family of 6, so life is loud and busy. I have an 18-year-old brother, Brady, the smartest of the family, 2 younger twin sisters, Ashlyn and Peyton, aka the Raptors, and my loving mom and dad, the glue of the family. I'm very high energy and active, so in my free time, I enjoy spending time in the ocean catching waves and fish, playing either rugby or lacrosse for my school, and surprisingly, bussing tables. Over the past 10 months, I've had a part-time job at a sushi restaurant, and today, you will learn the importance of having a job in your teenage years and how it builds confidence, resilience, and human connection. As teenagers get older, we begin to take on more and more responsibilities, which are now frequently filled by AP classes and club sports, which increase pressure and decrease purpose. Getting a job is a guaranteed way to learn important life skills, and the sooner, the better. Around 10 months ago, I created my first resume, trying my best to scrap whatever I could onto that piece of paper. Even putting down things like running a lemonade stand, or reselling Bass Pro Shops hats. And once I finished, my dad said, "Put on a collared shirt, put on nice pants, and get in the car." He drove me down to the 101 and dropped me on the sidewalk with a stack of resumes in my hand, shaking. I've never felt more alone in my life. He said, "Look them in the eye, shake their hand, and you got this." I mustered up all the confidence I had and walked into a surf shop. I gave my best handshake and asked, "Are you guys hiring?" My discomfort was loud and visible. They said no. But I didn't let that stop me. After applying at 3 stores, it didn't feel so bad. And after 5, I walked in with a sense of direction and a feeling of confidence. By the afternoon, my stack of resumes was gone. But most importantly, I had walked into a room full of strangers, introduced myself, and asked for something. Little did I know, interactions like these actually are important. Thanks, Dad. Famous poet E.E. Cummings stated, "It takes courage to grow up and become who you really are. It's important to spend time uncomfortably because that is when you will learn to grow in the ways you least expect." Now, let me tell you about the most uncomfortable moment of my life. The sushi restaurant is packed, not a single table open. I scramble around trying to help to the best of my ability. "Front one," I faintly hear the chef say over all the noise around me. I grab the 2 plates of black cod and hurry over to that table of 4 on a hot summer night. As I begin to set the plates down, my hand starts to shake. Splat. Soy sauce. Right to the man's nice white shirt. I begin to panic. My face turns red. What should I do? I think to myself. I felt like running and not stopping. But I stood there and took a deep breath. I repeated, "I'm extremely sorry, sir," but I could tell he was truly disappointed. Later, once the restaurant calmed, I walked back over to that table with a brand new folded black shirt from our restaurant. I said, "Here, have this," and a smile crossed his face, expressing gratitude and appreciation for what I had just done for him. That mistake taught me something school never could. When you make a mistake in the real world, you have to stand there and own it. Try your best to fix it and be accountable. Although working has taught me accountability, it has also taught me something I never could have predicted. It was around 8:30 on a Saturday night. The first time I saw that old man hobbling alone, I thought nothing of it. But as time went on, he kept coming back. He would sit at the bar, order a beer and then some sushi, and heckle me that there wasn't ginger and wasabi waiting there for him within the first 5 seconds that he sat down. As time went on, we began to talk about whatever sports game was on that night, about his past trips down to Baja, Mexico, and about how I was doing in my surf competitions. We began to create a bond, and he would be in on the majority of nights I would work. But one night, he came in. Something seemed off. Maybe he was mad there wasn't ginger and wasabi waiting there for him within the first 5 seconds that he sat down. But no, he told me that in 2 days, he was going to have open heart surgery with the chance of death, low but possible. That hit me. There he was, an old man, sitting at a sushi bar, alone, talking to a 16-year-old busser that somehow mattered to him, just because of his willingness to listen to what he had to say. Working isn't just about making money. Sometimes it's about the simpler things, like being kind to others, listening to what they have to say, and connecting with people you never thought you would have met in the first place. And finally, Tom is back, happier than ever, still sharing news stories and laughs. Every shift I work raises my confidence. Every mistake I make is an opportunity to learn how I can better handle pressure. Every table I serve polishes my people skills. Now, I challenge you. Pick up your compass, shake someone's hand, drop off your resume, and ask for an opportunity. Thank you.
Wow, what an inspiring and motivational talk. Do you have a job, Jack?
So, anyways, next speaker.
Before we continue, we'd like to recognize something you have seen when you walked in here tonight.
The incredible art installation in the lobby.
Judah Presley is a junior leading the sculptural exhibit. Other AP artists, Julia Lopez, Quinn Suzuki, and Armene Schalch, have all collaborated to create this piece.
He believes in the talented Cathedral Catholic art community that was driven to propose a piece to be presented at TEDx and for students to shoot for their dreams.
The piece is called Dreams of No Gravity. Let's shift our attention to behind-the-scenes videos to admire the dedication of our art department.
I'm Judah Presley. I'm a junior at Cathedral, and I've been an artist pretty much my whole life. I heard about the theme Ad Astra, and I wanted to make something that was almost reminiscent of a solar system. And my original idea was to have a lot of hanging sculptures, but that eventually coalesced into one large sculpture with multiple parts. I felt really inspired to create this art piece for TEDx because I am involved in Cathedral's art community in a lot of ways, and I really wanted to bring that creativity to TEDx. And when I saw the theme Ad Astra, there's a lot of visual language that can be used with stars and shooting for your dreams. So I wanted to find an interesting way to bring that all together in a really cool presentation. The sculpture definitely is focused around ideas of hope and perseverance. This whole project has been a lot of perseverance working through different problems, but I hope the overall piece evokes very strong feelings of wonder, amazement, and it can show other people that they can also shoot for their dreams and achieve them. My favorite part has been experimenting with all the different materials. I got to use one of my favorite mediums. I really like working with wood, so that was very fun to bring into this as a sculptural element. Paper mache. I've had so many areas where I need to troubleshoot and find new ways to work around adding wire mesh or adding structure or adding just paint and these very delicate pieces onto a larger body. So that's been my favorite part, is definitely working around with those problems.
My name is Julie Lopez and I'm a junior at Cathedral. Knowing Judah outside of the art program, I was really inspired by his creativity and I wanted to help him in creating a sculpture for the TEDx community. Trying to assemble all the different neurons to my base structure has been a really challenging experience for me because I want to make it look professional, but in the end, it ended up coming out good, so I'm happy that I was able to persevere through that problem. It's been a great experience and I've learned a lot about time management and just how to work with different materials. I hope that people will take away that they should just try and reach their dreams no matter what, that there's no limits, and that if you put your mind to something, that you can achieve it. I will remember most about this project, about the collaborative effort, and just how to work as a group to create one cohesive idea in such a big scale.
Hi, my name is Armene Schalch and I'm a senior. What really inspired me to participate in this project is the line, "Let my gifts change the world." I am always constantly looking for opportunities where I can use my art skills to change the world. The most challenging part about my piece was trying to figure out the balance and the way I needed to distribute the weight evenly. Being a part of this student-led project has been really great. It's really interesting to see everyone's different interpretations of Ad Astra. So my piece is consisting of two birds reaching for a star. So I really wanted the message of my piece to be, there will always be competition when reaching for your dreams, but that shouldn't stop you. I'll remember most about being a part of the creation of this piece is the community. I built a stronger bond with my fellow art peers.
Hi, my name is Quinn Suzuki and I am a junior here at Cathedral Catholic.
What personally drew me was that I know Judah from the National Art Honor Society and the Art Club, but also hearing that he was a part of TEDx and Ad Astra and knowing that it's about shooting for the stars, I really wanted to be a part of that collaborative piece of helping other students learn how to achieve their dreams. I would say the moment that challenged me the most during the creation of this piece was definitely trying to figure out how to balance the center of my piece, since I made it out of a clay and the entire piece is made out of wire, so trying to figure out how to balance that without one part being heavier than the other was hard. Being a part of this collaborative student-led project has led me to see and appreciate other people's interpretations of what Ad Astra was, and also how others achieve their dreams in different ways.
A huge thank you to Judah, all the APR students, and Mr. Rubicki for help bringing this to life.
Seriously, that was so stunning. Thank you for showing us what happens when passion is turned into art.
As we carry that feeling with us, let's return to our talks. For our next speaker, Kalin is a sophomore. She and her twin brother Jack were born prematurely at just 6 months old, causing him to have a disability.
She was inspired to write her talk when she realized the impact her brother's disability had on their family's life. Let's make some noise for Riley.
My twin brother Jack and I were both born weighing 1 pound, 11 ounces. If you were to hold about 4 sticks of butter in your hand, that's how much we weighed. We were the miracle babies. This is Jack, at 2 weeks old, wearing my mom's wedding ring around his arm. We both survived, despite our lungs and heart being undeveloped. Right after this picture was taken, Jack had a brain bleed, which caused him to develop cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is an injury to the brain that affects movement, speech, and coordination. All of these things are something Jack deals with daily. Cerebral palsy is the most common physical disability for children in America. I want you to keep in mind that every time I mention a disability, I am also referring to autism, Down syndrome, mental illness, and so many more disabilities, even though I talk about cerebral palsy. For me, growing up being the able sibling, I had to sacrifice parental attention, grow up quicker, and learn to deal with kids bullying Jack. In America, about 1 in 33 babies are born with a disability, and many typical siblings will experience feelings like being overlooked and have added pressure to do well in their life because their sibling has special needs. Hi, I'm Kalin, and today I'll be talking about the unrealistic views society creates around special needs families, the ripple effect of empathy, and the benefits of building relationships with people with different abilities. I read the book, Being the Other One, by Kate Strom. She puts into words my perspective perfectly. Let's acknowledge the possible gains from having a person with a disability in the family, but not underplay the reality. When you have a person with a disability in your family, people around you are quick to assume everything will always be positive. In reality, I am blessed by my brother, but cursed by the way people mistreat him. The constant fluctuation of emotions the able sibling endures is something a lot of people don't realize. Jack has a hard time controlling his muscles due to cerebral palsy. We were at a restaurant recently when all of a sudden I hear this loud crack. Then I see blood. There's glass everywhere. Jack broke a glass. Honestly, my immediate reaction is embarrassment because our table is now in the spotlight of this restaurant. Shortly after, I'm filled with guilt for feeling embarrassed because I know we can't control when things like that happen. Now, imagine your son, daughter, or sibling comes home from school and they start sharing about their day, they're distraught because they were bullied at school. Think of how the atmosphere in the house changes. It gets cold. Seeing my own twin like that, I was able to gain a greater understanding of empathy. I learned earlier to judge people for their hearts, not for how they look or talk. When people started to point out our differences in a cruel way, it hurt me to realize I could walk and talk while he couldn't. I realized I could make friends easily while he couldn't. I realized I could play sports while he couldn't. We grew up together, but not at the same time. Ultimately, it all comes down to how we treat people with disabilities. According to the Department of Human Services, when you interact with people with disabilities, focus on their abilities, not their disabilities. Disabled individuals deserve to be seen for all the amazing things they can do, even if it's just walking or talking. When my twin was born, he was supposed to be in a wheelchair his whole life, unable to eat, talk, or walk. Remarkably, after working extremely hard, he is now able to talk and even run. Now that the unique challenges and experiences that the able sibling faces has been acknowledged, what can we do to meaningfully support them? Should we continue to let them be overshadowed by societal expectations, limited support, and the assumption that their needs are secondary? Or is it time for communities to confront these imbalances and advocate for the well-being of the typical sibling? By working hard to listen and understand people with disabled siblings, we can help redefine how the able sibling is viewed and valued. So, not only do I want you to show compassion towards able siblings, I also want you to take the time to truly get to know special needs people and who they are beyond their disability, because how you treat a disabled person directly affects their whole family, especially their siblings. Thank you.
Thank you, Riley. Let's shift into another talk about resilience and strength for our next speaker, Katherine Pillar.
She is a sophomore who learned to advocate for herself at a young age due to her vision impairment. Her experience navigating school and life inspired her to write this talk. Let's hear it for Katherine.
When you think of your future career, what do you picture? Do you imagine owning your own business, becoming a lawyer, or maybe even saving lives as a doctor? But no matter what career path you choose, you are eventually going to want more. More pay, more opportunity, or more support. But the problem is, most Americans do not obtain these things because they do not have the confidence or the skills to speak up. So stop hoping and start advocating. Hello, my name is Katherine Pillar, and I want to walk you through a day in my life. Imagine waking up at 6:15 a.m., tired, but you cannot forget the most important step in your morning routine, putting in your contacts. You arrive at school at 7:40 a.m. and are immediately thrown into a long day of difficult classes, quizzes, lectures, and labs. Exhausted from concentrating, your mind wanders, and you look out the window. But then you see the blinds. The thin stripe pattern makes the whole room spin. They move up and down like waves on the ocean until you are overwhelmed and disoriented. This is a normal day through my eyes. When I was 5 years old, I failed my yearly eye exam. I didn't fail on purpose. I actually couldn't see. A few days later, I was diagnosed with a rare eye condition called nystagmus, which causes my eyes to shake. At the time, I didn't know what this meant. All I knew was that from now on, I would need to wear glasses. So, my parents went to my elementary school in hopes to get an IEP plan, which is an individualized education program plan given to students who need extra assistance in the classroom due to a medical condition. We thought that the process would be simple, but it was not. We were denied. The school didn't believe that my condition was serious enough to be worthy of extra help. And that is when I realized something so important. Needing help is not enough. You have to ask for it, and sometimes even fight for it. And that is a skill that everyone, especially teens, must learn. Learning how to advocate is especially difficult in an overly accommodating world. It's like sitting in a self-driving car. Unless you take the wheel, your decisions will be made for you. This happens every time you stay quiet and choose not to ask for help. And over time, you will lose control, lose your voice, and lose what makes you, you. Because no parent, teacher, coach, or peer knows your needs, limits, or goals. In 8th and 9th grade, my goal was to be the best on my volleyball team. I worked hard and started progressing, but eventually I reached a point where I stopped getting better. Because of my nystagmus, I could not gauge where the ball was going fast enough to react in time to pass. So I had to come up with a solution, one that worked with my eyesight, not against it. I talked with my coaches, and they were able to come up with drills to help me improve. This simple act of communicating my needs allowed me to reach my full potential. And that's when I realized that through advocacy, you don't just get support. You find your voice. You gain the skills and the confidence to explain what you need. In the great words of my favorite cartoon character, Winnie the Pooh, always remember, you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Self-advocacy is how you start believing this. You realize that your voice has power. The power to make a difference. The power to ask for help. And the power to speak up. However, advocating is not about being loud or demanding. It's about preventing others from making assumptions about what you need. It's built off those little annoying skills our parents taught us when we were kids. Making eye contact, saying please and thank you, and listening when others are speaking. These seemingly trivial skills lay the foundation for learning how to advocate, because advocating must be done in a respectful manner. It's the happy medium of standing your ground to get the help you need, while realizing that not everyone will understand, and it is up to you to explain it. It is up to you to have the confidence to articulate your needs. It is up to you to advocate. And here's why it matters. It might seem crazy, but 1 in 8 job applicants in Gen Z brought their parents to their interview. Yeah, can you imagine bringing your mom and dad to answer interview questions? This extreme reliance on parents would just show your employer that you do not have the confidence or skills to speak for yourself. But luckily, because it is a skill, it can be learned. I learned how to advocate for myself because I had to. But you don't have to wait until something goes wrong. Take the wheel. Ask the question. Get the help you need. Learn how to communicate in a positive, powerful, and personable way. Learn how to advocate. Thank you.
Katherine really showed us what it meant to find your voice. But up next, we're going to pivot for a moment.
Up until now, you've heard talks, poetry, and even a music and dance performance.
But now we're bringing theater to the TEDx stage.
Oh Romeo, dosha.
Jack, no, wrong type of theater.
Right, not that one.
Our next performance is a monologue, a piece of storytelling performed live.
Sophie Adahar is a sophomore who is extremely proud of the relationship she has with her parents, especially her mom, who is her best friend. Her mom inspired her to write this monologue as she motivates her every day to be better, as well as to grow into her own woman.
Take the mic on this one, Sophie, and your monologue, Becoming My Own Person.
I know, Mom. I hear it every day. Soph, stop stressing. Remember, stress gives you pimples. Just take it a day at a time. Soph, did you eat breakfast today? You should prioritize your 3 meals a day, or you can really mess up your digestive system. Also, please make sure to do the dishes and clean your room later. Your laundry has been sitting on your bed for weeks. It's ridiculous. Soph, are you sure you want to wear your hair that way? It just looks so beautiful down. Also, please make sure you talk to your teacher about your grade today. You need to learn to advocate for yourself, but don't push yourself too hard, and don't spend your entire lunch studying. Soph, are you tired today? You look a little tired. You should try to sleep earlier. Lack of sleep can really affect your mood, and you've seemed a little moody lately. Maybe you're spreading yourself too thin. But remember, you don't have to do this all on your own. I'm here if you need help. I'm here to listen. And Mom, I know you are. I know that every comment and suggestion you give is because you want me to be the best version of myself, and I want that too. I know you care so deeply about me, and sometimes you even know me better than I know myself. I see that. I just want to make you proud, show you that you've taught me well enough to stand on my own 2 feet. It's just so hard for me to prove that I can handle myself when deep down, I'm not even sure if I can. And when I have that doubt in myself, I don't need you to hand me a solution. Sometimes all I need is you, your support. I know you're scared and you want to protect me. Honestly, I'm scared too. Most days I want to tell you just how I feel, but I don't even know how to put it into words. And I know that's frustrating for the both of us, but I want you to know that I'm trying to become my own person, even if I don't get it perfectly right. I know things have been hard, and sometimes it just feels like there's this barrier between us, but it's not your fault, and it's not mine. I'm just growing, changing, and I need us to have an open mind as to what that might look like. I'm not saying this to try and push you out of my life. I could never want that. I feel like I'm stuck between being treated like a little kid and being expected to act like an adult when really all I want is balance, for trust, for support. I know I'm going to mess up sometimes, and I'm not asking you to stop caring when I do, but isn't that the whole point? To mess up and try again? I mean, you taught me. You inspired me to never give up, to keep going even when things don't go perfectly. Your lessons, your voice, they don't disappear the moment you loosen your grip. I hear you guiding me in everything I do, but sometimes I hear you so much that I can't always tell where your voice ends and mine begins. So when does it end? In a day? In a year? I don't really know. Maybe it doesn't end all at once. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe growing up doesn't mean your voice disappearing, but learning to use what you've given me to figure out who I'm becoming. And When that day comes, whenever it does, I want to be able to guide myself, to lead myself, the way you've led me. You have the best intentions and the biggest heart, and no one cares about me more than you do. I'm still a kid, your kid. I still need you in my life. But I'm also trying to figure out who I'm becoming, and I need you to let me try.
Okay, so I think we all collectively heard that. I should probably call my mom more and tell her I love her. Shout out, Mom.
Now we're shifting to our final two talks for the night. Whew, this night has flown by. Up next is our speaker, Lillian Liah, and this one may hit close to home for a lot of us. And believe it or not, she grew up without a phone.
She was inspired to write her talk when she reached high school and realized she was the only one without a phone and had a lot more positives than she first anticipated. Let's welcome into the spotlight, Lily.
When I was in second grade, after school meant grass, friends, and pretending my mom's car was still hours away. Moving on to 8th grade, after school looked the same for me. But for the younger kids, it began to mean something else. They would sit on a screen rather than pumping their legs on the swing. At the time, I thought they were choosing phones over people. But what I realize now is they never had the choice. I was given the gift of grass. They were given the gift of a device. The difference? Our parents. The future impact? Extraordinary. Hi, my name is Lillian Liah, and I am here to inspire you to make the choice to raise your kids wild, not wired. I'm a 16-year-old girl. I was born and raised in San Diego, California. I love playing water polo. I love being a Seton Scholar here at Cathedral, and I love cookie dough ice cream. Now, these are some typical statements that many other teenagers can make. Well, here's one I bet most can. I got my first phone at 16 years old, the summer before my sophomore year. In our society right now, that is countercultural. According to a study conducted by Stanford Medicine, the average age for a child to receive their first phone is 11 years old. So you see, children around America were getting their phones before I even had my period. And the difference lies in our parents. My parents have always felt that phones are unnecessary to lead a communicative, successful, faith-filled life. Now, that does not mean we're Amish or we live completely technology-free. All that means is that I was raised in the belief that phones should not be at the center of our lives. That's why I got my first phone at 16. And yes, that was only 278 days ago. It took me years to finally understand why my parents were so against me having a phone as a kid. But now, I get it. And what I've discovered is that many parents inwardly agree with my parents. They just never fully follow through. They know the negative effects of giving their child a phone, and yet their kid pleads, everyone in school has one, and they give in. And then there are others who simply follow the crowd and are oftentimes too busy to consider the downsides, such as a future of less sleep or lower personal connection for their child. In a recent New York Times study, researchers discovered 39% of parents wished they hadn't given their child a phone when they did, but at the time felt they had to because all their child's friends already had one. Social pressure for parents. It's real. And to give you just a small glimpse of how much a phone truly affects a child, I'm going to present you with some rhetorical questions. And when contemplating the answers to these questions, I want you to think about your child or your future child and how these small decisions have such a huge impact on their lives. So on the ride home from school, what do you want more? Your child silently staring at a screen or a conversation with them about their day? Do you want to be the cool parent now or the kid whose parent looks up or the parent whose kid looks up to them later in life for making the tough decisions? Do you want your kid becoming besties with AI or utilizing the gift of their own brain power? Many different paths. The choices completely up to you. And when reflecting on these choices, remember yourself as a kid. A kid who practiced patience while building a robot out of Legos. Or learned to apologize by breaking the lamp in a sword fight with your little brother. Or learned to bargain by playing Monopoly for hours. It is through experience that we are given the gifts of these virtues. Patience, apologizing, or even bargaining for a buck. What gifts do you want to be giving your kids? No screen can compare to the experiences that your child has in face-to-face interactions. So let your gifts be the virtues. The virtues learned solely from experience. Experience with struggle, experience with anger, experience with joy. Ralph Waldo Emerson says it best. Life is a succession of lessons which must be lived to be understood. Give your kids a gift and not the one they put in their pocket. I can assure you, life is better experienced than watched. Because in the end, only face-to-face interaction can teach a child to look at their parents and say, "How was your day?" Or to say to their best friend, "You really hurt my feelings." A short text and an emoji, the type of communication advocated by phones, will never build the same personal relationship. Okay, so at this point, I've offered you many reasons of why you should hold off on giving your child a phone. But you may also be wondering, well, what else is there? Well, for those of you whose kids already have a phone, try out a Brick or even the Shift app. And for those of you whose kids don't have a phone, try out a smartwatch, a device made simply for communicating. I want you all to remember that living phoneless in this world is not impossible. And to prove this to you, I'm going to tell you about a time I used some untraditional methods to place a Starbucks order. I am a huge fan of Starbucks. And if you have the app, you know the best perk, a free birthday drink. So on my 15th birthday, my dad drove me down to our local Starbucks after water polo practice to get my free acai refresher. But if you remember, at this time, I still didn't have my phone. So I had to get real creative. So I found myself standing there, a soaking wet teenager in a bathing suit and a towel, confidently marching up to the counter, holding out my school-issued iPad for the barista to scan. The look on her face, absolutely priceless. She immediately said to me, and I quote, "Wow, I have never seen anyone order Starbucks with an iPad before." What I learned that day is that a phone does not have to dictate our lives. We have the choice to lean into alternatives like these, to break away from our phones and not let our phones break us. A perfect world could be described as one completely free of the temptations of technology. And yet, is that truly attainable? While we may never fully grasp the stars of that world, we always have the choice to pursue them, because it's in stretching for those stars that the true transformation happens. And by taking this leap of faith, your decision to hold off on giving your child that phone changes their life forever. Because of you, your child will live wild, not wired. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but after hearing that made me want to take some time away from my phone for a little.
Almost.
Nah. Let's not get too crazy.
As we close out this unforgettable night, let's welcome our final speaker. He's a junior and guitarist that has been playing in bands for over 5 years, playing in shows across San Diego, and performs with the CCHS rock band.
He was inspired to write his talk through his positive experience with his unique extracurricular. Let's welcome Liam Kett.
Woo!
Picture this, a group of students huddled together after school in a hot, sweaty garage. One on guitar, one on drums, another nervously gripping the mic. The first chord rings out. It's a bit messy, but then something clicks. The sound blends, the beat hits, and suddenly they're not just kids anymore. They're a band. A band where timing becomes instinct, eye contact becomes language, and the music literally pulls each person into the same pulse. I know that moment because I've been there, and I want to tell you what I learned. I know that moment because it's my life. I've been chasing that feeling since I was 7 years old, when I first unwrapped an electric guitar on Christmas morning. And I want to share with you what Rock Band has taught me, and what I believe it could bring to others if it weren't just after school or in someone's garage, but in the classroom. What if schools actually taught rock bands the way they teach choir, orchestra, or theater? Music education already exists, but most programs tend to focus on reading sheet music or performing classical pieces. Both exceptionally valuable, but this may not truly reach every student. That is where modern music steps into the picture. Rock is accessible. It's flowing from car speakers, out cafe windows, and music you didn't even realize you knew makes you start humming along and tapping your feet. You don't need years of formal training to learn a guitar riff or get a drum beat going. You just need curiosity, rhythm, and the courage to try. And in my opinion, that's exactly what education should nurture: creativity, collaboration, and confidence. Here's where my story comes in. Throughout my life, music has been the one thing that's always stuck with me. It's what led me to join a band, and it's why I'm a part of a program called School of Rock. Through it, I take lessons, try out for shows of different genres, and get to perform all around San Diego multiple times a year. As a guitarist and vocalist, I've gotten to step on stage in front of hundreds of people at venues like the Music Box and even the Holding Company. And every performance, every rehearsal, every moment on stage has taught me the lessons I wish more students had access to. When you're in a band, you learn to communicate, because if you don't listen to each other, the song falls apart. You learn discipline, because rehearsals don't happen unless everyone shows up. You learn teamwork and leadership, because performing in sync requires trust. And most importantly, you learn to take risks, to show up, to be seen, and believe in what you're putting in the world. These aren't just music skills. They're life skills, and I've learned them firsthand. When students get to play songs they actually love, they feel ownership. Suddenly, practice isn't just homework, it's expression, and that expression matters. I know this because music has been something I've leaned on personally. When school is tough, or I need something to help me reset, picking up my guitar is a great place for me to put those emotions. When I'm upset, I can play upset. When I'm sad, I can play sad. And when I'm happy, I can play happy, and even get to write songs like this. if more students had that outlet, what would that look like? What would that mean for our mental health, and what would that teach us about living a balanced life? The influence of modern music has already begun to show itself here on campus. I'm a part of the rock band club here at Cathedral called Curbside Service, and it's shown me how powerful music can be as an extracurricular, giving students a second option beyond traditional sports or arts to belong to. A rock band program could create pride, identity, and community. It becomes a place where athletes and artists, introverts and extroverts all find common ground through sound. Music breaks down walls between people, between subjects, between self-doubt and confidence. And I know this because my band has become a second family. We're all different, but when we play, we're united. I want other students to feel that too. So maybe it's time we stop treating rock band like it's a distraction and start treating it like a stepping stone. A rock band class isn't just about learning how to play songs. It's about learning how to create, to connect, and to believe in yourself. Because when you hand a guitar, a mic, or a pair of drumsticks, you're not just teaching music. You're teaching them to find their voice. Thank you.
What a finale. Liam absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, suddenly I feel like I just started a rock band. Could you imagine us in the TEDx committee?
Karina, you can't even clap on beat.
Okay, that's true. I guess I'll stick to emceeing.
Now off to Pierce.
Good evening, everyone. Wasn't that incredible? Big round of applause. So, along with my co-lead director, Mia Fisher, we are excited to present 2 awards this evening. The first award is for the most dedicated committee member, and the recipient of the award is McKenna Fitzgerald.
I would now like to present the Speaker in the Spotlight Award, and the Speaker in the Spotlight Award goes to Parker Gallagher.
As we come to a close of this year's TEDx CCHS event, we want to take a moment to recognize the many people who made this evening possible. Mia and I began our TEDx journey 2 years ago, standing on this very stage, delivering powerful talks like the ones you just heard back to back. Since that moment, TEDx has profoundly shaped both our lives. What began as a single speech quickly grew into a platform that taught us how to think bigger, speak with clarity, and lead with intention. TEDx did not just give us a stage. It gave us direction, confidence, and a community that believes deeply in the power of student voices. Over the past 8 months, this committee met every single week, sometimes even multiple times. Through lunches, late-night edits, and early morning setups, all driven by the shared belief that ideas matter and that this program is worth doing well. To begin our thanks, we would like to recognize someone who anchors this entire program, lead organizer Mrs. Natalia Fiore. Mrs. Fiore is the steady presence behind every deadline, every decision, and every standard we hold ourselves to. She leads with vision, patience, and an unwavering belief in student leadership. TEDx CCHS would not exist at the level of it does without her dedication. Please welcome Mrs. Fiore to the stage.
I'm honestly getting a little teary-eyed here. I would say this is one of the most incredible nights of my entire life, and I really appreciate all of you being here. I wanted to quickly applaud Pierce and Mia. So they have redefined what leadership looks like on the TEDx Student Committee, modeling a true partnership, consistently bringing their own ideas to the table, and fostering genuine connection across the committee that, as you saw tonight, led to every single member contributing to their greatest potential, thus making this the best TEDx event ever. So, huge round of applause for Pierce and Mia. Thank you.
We would also like to take a moment to recognize Assistant Lead Organizer, Mr. Aaron Martinez, who keeps this program grounded in structure and accountability, and who pushed for the new format you experienced tonight. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us, but let's give him a big round of applause. We would also like to thank Cathedral Catholic's administration for their continued support of TEDx CCHS. Thank you for trusting students with real responsibilities, for providing 2 faculty organizers, for supporting this program with a budget, for attending tonight, and for investing in our growth by funding our attendance to TEDx San Diego. Your belief in student-driven programs makes opportunities like this possible. Next, we would also like to thank Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Matt, Mia and I's amazing moms, Vapa, and Dawn's Vision for helping us put together this space and for making this whole event possible. A big round of applause for them. Now, we would like to recognize the teams who brought what you guys saw tonight alive. We invite our design team, led by Hannah Sperling, our marketing team, led by Andrew Martinez, our speaker team, led by McKenna Fitzgerald, and our production team, led by Connor Dickinson. Next, we would like to thank tonight's artists and performers. Will you please come to the stage? And finally, we would like to thank our student speakers. Will you please come to the stage? Let's just give one more round of applause for everyone who made this night possible. Now, I would like to hand it back to our incredible MCs, Jack and Karina, to close up the night before our connection times with performers, speakers, and committee. Thank you, guys.
Ad Astra isn't just a theme, it's a compass. Your potential isn't found, it's built.
So walk out boldly, chase what scares you, say yes to growth, and remember, the stars belong to those who reach for them.
Okay, one more thing really quickly. Can everyone please take out their phones and turn on their flash like this?
Woo.
Every single person.
Every person. I want to see phones out.
Awesome. Wait, we could, let's back up. And now we're going to get a quick selfie.
We need a selfie. Everybody smile.
Everyone smile. Awesome. From the Cathedral Catholic TEDx family to you, thank you for being here, for listening, and for dreaming with us.
As we leave the night carrying the spirit of Ad Astra, it is a reminder that our fullest potential is always within reach.
And a quick announcement when you leave. When you exit, head out to the right and you'll find connection time in the GC.
And out there, you can hang out with committee members, speakers, and performers. There's tons of delicious snacks and drinks. And the best part, Jack and I are signing autographs.
Thank you!